Welcome to the next vlog. I've just literally finished in the gym. So this is Thursday and I was training my weaker body parts. I thought I'd just give you a brief overview of how my training's really changed, probably within the last 6 to 8 months. And that's me really focusing more on enjoyment with regards to my training. I went through a phase when I was very specific with regards to fat loss, muscle building, having a specific program where, for example, in the muscle building phase, I'm focusing on getting stronger over time with my key lifts, focusing on adding volume over time. And that's not to say I'm not still striving for that now, but I'm more focusing on maintenance. I'm not necessarily in a surplus for muscle building or a deficit for fat loss. I'm really just focusing on enjoyment. So my sessions may change a little bit more frequently than they did previously, because previously you really want to be sticking with the same sessions over a prolonged period of time, because that allows you to be objective with your strength gains, but also because there's a learning phase. Whenever you start a brand new exercise, you need to go through that learning phase before you can actually gain any strength which will equate to new muscle. So now it's just gone approximately 7 o'clock, so I usually get in the gym 6 till 7. I'm now going to head to a local Costa. This is something I've been doing more recently with regards to my work. I don't do it every single day and I don't do it for the whole day, but it's just good to change the environment because I'm obviously working mainly from home. Change the environment. I find I'm more productive. So especially when I'm doing more client work, when I'm focusing on creating clients' new training plans, nutrition plans, and also when I'm contacting my clients, which is what I'm doing today, which is what's called the midweek check-in, where contacting my current clients to see how their week is going, and then we have the main check-in at the weekend. It's just a good place to go because I'm just a little bit more productive. So we'll head there now and then we'll get some more footage for this vlog. So awesome, so a good couple of hours done. Costa coffee, very windy, very wet today. So you're probably wondering, James, why haven't you slammed a whey protein and dextrose shake immediately after your training session? Good question, because I haven't actually eaten. It's been a good couple of hours since the session. I'll explain this shortly. Okay, we've just arrived home. Let's get some food and let's get back to work. Okay, back to the questions. So if you remember, I didn't have a whey protein shake immediately after my training session. I didn't have any dextrose or any high glycemic carbohydrates. And there's a very good reason for that. So essentially this post-workout anabolic window is not as you may first believe. You may be under the impression you need to be eating immediately after the session. Now there's a few things to consider here. Firstly is whether you've consumed a pre-exercise meal, when your next training session is going to be, and also the type of exercise you've just been performing. So for example, if you have a pre-workout meal within a few hours of the training bout, which I did, containing protein and carbohydrates, you're going to have amino acids and glucose still within the bloodstream for several hours during that training session and for several hours post-workout, and that puts into context that need for that immediate fuel, because you've already got food that's still being absorbed from that pre-workout meal. Additionally, the type of training is important. We're not doing endurance type training. This is weight training. We're doing this for approximately 60 minutes. It's nowhere near as glycogen depleting as endurance training, for example, and as such that puts the need for that immediate post-workout exercise meal into context, because the training session isn't that draining. Finally, you need to take into account when the next training session will be. Again, if you're an endurance trainee training twice per day, speed of glycogen resynthesis between session 1 and session 2, if you're training within an 8-hour window, is extremely important. Within that context, it would be worthwhile having a meal as close to the training of the first training session as possible to replenish glycogen for that second session in the day. But for myself, and like most of you watching this video, your next session is going to be 24 hours away and beyond, and as such, just by consuming sufficient carbohydrates within the day, glycogen replenishment will take care of itself by default at the 24-hour mark. Additionally, I'd also suggest typing in Alan Aragon, Brad Schoenfeld meta-analysis on the anabolic window. I think it's one of the most read research journals online. It talks about in more detail some of the points I've just mentioned. You need to think about the most important factors with regards to fat loss and muscle building with regards to nutrition, and that is the daily nutrition targets, the daily protein, carbohydrate and fat targets. That needs to be the first priority, because essentially if you've got that in place, timing of meals is not as important within the context of just mentioned for someone just doing weight training, maybe a small amount of cardio. Now that being said, it's still worthwhile having a pre-workout meal within a few hours of the training session bout and within a few hours post-workout like I've done, but it hasn't been immediately after the session because of the points just mentioned. You've still got food being absorbed from that pre-workout meal during the session for several hours post-workout. Taking into consideration my next session, which is 24 hours away, and the type of exercise. This is just weight training. It's not endurance training. It's not that glycogen depleting. Additionally, for those of you saying, James, you need to be spiking insulin post-workout, you need to remember firstly that protein is also insulinogenic. It's not just carbohydrates. Additionally, because of that pre-workout meal, insulin levels are still going to be above fasting levels during the session and for several hours post-workout as well. So hopefully that's been useful. So all I've had post-workout, nothing particularly flashy, just a whey protein shake and then some granola with natural yogurt. Remember, the most important factors with regards to building muscle, losing fat and maintenance is the daily nutrition targets. As long as I'm getting relatively close to those, getting sufficient protein, suitable calories per day, that's the most important factor. And as long as timing around the session within a few hours pre-workout and post-workout, that's absolutely fine. This is one of the benefits of having a sister-in-law that works in the book industry. So notice this at the bottom here, uncorrected proofread not for sale. So this hasn't even come out yet. I'll be taking a look at this. Looks pretty interesting. With regards to my reading, I like to split my reading. So I have 50-50 for mainly business books, and then business books, autobiographies, things of that nature, and then 50% is usually reading and trying to refine my crafts with regards to nutrition and training. So I don't have a huge amount of nutrition and training books. The reason why is a very good reason. If I'm honest, most of them you'll find out there are completely useless. You really want to start actually reading the research journals, and also there's some excellent practitioners that I'd suggest following them. Some of them have books, some of them just have articles and videos online which I'd suggest taking a look at. So Alan Aragon, regards to nutrition, he has a superb research review, brings that out every single month and basically analyzes the best research and kind of condenses it down in a very easy to read format. Brett Contreras, Brad Schoenfeld, Lyle McDonald, James Krieger, Eric Helms is another one. There's some of the big names I suggest reading. So if you take a Google or look on YouTube, you'll be able to find some better content there, as opposed to buying books from Amazon, etc. Most of them are just trash. They don't have any evidence to support what they're teaching. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this week's vlog. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel as I've got lots more content coming. Thank you very much.